But Ethan and his previous friend Hasan are beefing because Ethan has realized that the only friend he has in life is actually a manifestation of pure evil, low IQ, incompetence, and psychopathology. That's a difficult thing to come to terms with, but that's what happens when you demonize embodiments of impressiveness and are called to resent forms of coherence, logic, truth, rationality themselves. As Donald Trump has just gotten his checkmark back after being banned on social media, really, the left has never been in greater shambles. This surpasses even my expectations for what was possible. Dreams and prayers could not have predicted what would be delivered to us. H3 and Hasan, two of the most destroyed characters on the left, totally ravaged by the psychopathology of Marxism, resentment towards coherence, objectivism, etc. These people are the two biggest creators on the left. They had probably a couple million people in an echo chamber of total resentment towards masculinity, category, coherence, etc., and they're beefing with each other. Compared to us, I mean, we have Peterson, we have Shapiro, we have Crowder, Joe Rogan, a massive crew. I haven't even named a third of the people we have. They only have two, and they're beefing with each other. Also, I've heard reports from other content creators that they have no friends. Their only friends are each other. But they're not friends anymore because Ethan, the slightly less radical of the two, realized that his friend was a terrorist, equivalent to, in his words, Osama Bin Laden. That's a real tough realization, understanding that your only friend is equivalent to Osama Bin Laden. But this is a common occurrence for leftists because they dispense with objective parameters, calling any form of coherent analysis oppression. And if you think I'm exaggerating there, leftists actually believe that any coherent, cogent analysis is oppression, because to say something is more coherent or less coherent than something else is to engage in category. And category discriminates between things that are in the category and not in the category, things that make sense and don't make sense in the case of using logic or reason. And that mechanism is oppressive. That is patriarchal. So the left can't engage in it. This is how you see Ethan falling from, I think it was 2018 when he slandered Jordan Peterson baselessly, and has hit rock bottom in creating a podcast with somebody who literally says we need to put capitalists in re-education concentration camps, that America deserved 9/11, and also platforming literal jihadists on his stream, which, by the way, don't get banned or censored at all, but channels like this do get censored. Of course, that's going to be coming to an end soon because masculine greatness just crushed these freaks. I used to record more videos about these guys like a year and a half ago, but I somewhat stopped because I realized how depraved these people are, and their positions are designed to be antithetical to reality, and their audience is so cognitively ravaged. Their audience has been purified into the most unthinking elements, the most unthinking, resentful elements of society. And what's very funny is that they don't realize that that's who they are, that they're a part of a cult. Everyone else that is not in their cult mocks them permanently. But these deformed freaks think they're superior to everyone else, which is hilarious considering that the people they follow are deformed, depressed, physically overweight, low IQ, unimpressive people who aren't inspiring, who go out of their way to slander men echelons more impressive, physically, intellectually, literally in every domain you can think of. But again, this is the architecture of their resentment. What's funny to see is that because the left is dispensed with the ability to distinguish between ideas based on category and coherence, they're relegated to trying to decipher which identity group is more oppressed. Oh my gosh, is it the Jews, or is it Muslims, or is it people in Gaza, or is it, this mentally deformed chatter with an anime profile in Discord that spends her life pretending as though she's superior to Elon fucking Musk. Very hard to tell when you're on the left. If you ever spent 5 minutes in these echo chambers, and I've had to, unfortunately, to make videos about them, you realize that these people are actually, they construct their ideas to be antithetical to reality. A very common trope would be to call Elon Musk stupid or to call Elon Musk unimpressive when they're anons with anime profiles that spend their life on Discord. Ethan, though, has gotten a bit tired of it, and so is trying to distance himself from his streaming partner, podcast partner. Not after he said capitalists should be put in concentration camps to be re-educated. Not after his podcast partner said America deserved 9/11. Not after his podcast partner had on jihadists on his stream from active war zones trying to do damage to America. It's crazy that we actually got here, but that's all true. But after the left-wing cult of identitarianism was breached and they're having an interpersonal war of who's more oppressed, it's hilarious.
Play the exciting game here. You at home, play along. We're gonna play, is it Twitch or is it a terrorist? Let's take a look here, guys.
Osama bin Laden is probably less radical than Hasan in many ways, although Osama bin Laden has a much higher IQ than Hasan, which makes Hasan even more dangerous to his audience. He came to America to seek out degeneracy. He literally said that. So he doesn't live by a code. Luckily, we've been utterly crushing them in every conceivable way, and so it's not surprising that the left is fragmenting itself. It's just funny. I haven't recorded a video on H3 in a long time, but maybe it's time to get back into it. Something to keep in mind as well, guys, is that October 7th, the left's response to October 7th really sealed the deal on exposing their total depravity and separation from objective morality in alignment with leftist resentment for objective parameters. So when we saw directly after Hamas had slaughtered women and children, leftists marching by the thousands in Manhattan in support of Hamas, that red-pilled a lot of people. That woke a lot of people up, because it turns out that's unpopular. Now, that fits directly into the ethos that I just showed you of H3. Fits directly in with Hasan. But rather than distancing themselves from that, the campaign of the left to get Kamala Harris elected refused to distance themselves from the voices of their most fringe elements. There are levels to the insanity. I won't say that the Kamala campaign went to the nth degree of the insanity. Like, Hasan's positions are even more radical than saying 8-year-olds should be transitioned. His positions are like 5 times more extreme than that. But to most people, saying that 8-year-olds should transition is radical enough. And so the Democrat campaign really failed, because after the inflection point, the public inflection point of October 7th in America, leftists failed to correct or distance themselves with the anti-intellectual, mandated unthinking apparatus that is their ideological resentment. And that's what lost them the election. Charlie Kirk talks about this here. We have liberal soy boys filming themselves running on treadmills to resist MAGA. It's really going quite poorly for them. Liberals realizing it's only been a week into a 4-year term that hasn't started. Oh my gosh. And we've already had like 5 years worth of victories in 7 days, and the term hasn't even begun. It makes sense that the left is destroying itself. So there's some perspective there, of course. But they're completely breaking down. Now, earlier, when I was recording without audio, I went to check the tweets, but then I discovered that they actually don't have very many, because Ethan has deleted all of his tweets from his account that go before a month ago. And that's because, of course, of his affiliation with Hasan, who is soon to be on a terrorist watch list, let's be honest. In fact, some of the videos that I found are my own videos from like a year ago, which is really funny. Here's an analysis I did of the H3 Myron moment. That was really good. Even leftist businessmen, as Elon's pointing out, are getting very excited. By the way, Bill Ackman is not a leftist businessman, but he's talking about this. They're getting very excited about Trump's soon-to-be booming economy. They're very bullish. And so to say we've utterly defeated the left on every conceivable level is an understatement. We have their leaders and leftist billionaires like Mark Cuban begging to be a part of the administration. In understanding how H3 could have fallen so far to be associated with someone more radical than Osama bin Laden, it's important to understand that leftism demonizes any system of sense-making, like logic or rationality, as inherently oppressive and discriminatory. It doesn't even matter what the conclusion is, because the conclusion is inevitably something other than what their ideology dictates must be true. One technical reason for that is because when you structure your ideological axioms on resentment, then you find yourself being constantly at odds with reality, which is the reason why we have leftists not only physically deformed and intellectually deformed, they say things that are always the opposite of reality. They're not just lies or false. They say things that are the opposite of what is objectively true, or the opposite of what is objectively moral. They find themselves compelled to do this because sense-making on any level of thought, even the most minute level that is imperceptible, is considered to be oppressive and discriminatory. And so you can find yourself in a situation like this when you're on the left, where your only friend is somebody who says capitalists should be put in re-education camps.